From the other side of the Capitol Hill, the senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott. Senator, it's good to see you. I know you're normally an optimist, but there are a lot of patriots out there and Americans that are upset about that bill. What happened?
Well, listen, the one thing I can say that Steve and I agree completely on is why we are in the mess we're in right now. We should never forget we are here because the Democrats continue to put illegal immigrants first and American people, they put them last. Republicans, we put America first, and the Democrats continue to do quite the opposite. That's why we're here. Even after 4 years of Joe Biden having no border policy, 12.5 million illegal immigrants coming into our country, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of violent criminals from all over the world descending upon the greatest nation on the planet, the Democrats still refuse to take a deal. When Chuck Schumer thinks about the House, he thinks about AOC becoming a senator. He's not concerned about anything other than his future. That's why we have to continue to win elections. Everyone should know, and all of our friends know this, that in the Senate is a two-step process. We have to use a budget tool like we did in the one big beautiful bill that we call today the Working Families Tax Cut Bill that allowed us to fund into the future some of the major parts of the national security apparatus. We were able to fund those parts of the apparatus through the year 2029. We're going to have to do that again. It's a two-step process. It's a long process. It takes several weeks for us to get that accomplished. We're already in that process. So the good news is ICE, CBP will be funded through that budget tool called reconciliation. And until then, President Trump stepped up to the plate and does what only he can do, which was to pay TSA workers. He is always showing up for the American people, putting the country on his shoulders and moving forward. The House and the Senate, we will work together to continue to provide the necessary funding for our national security. In the Senate, we will have to go it alone without a single Democrat joining America's team, not Republicans, but America's team, and doing the right thing for this nation.
But Senator, I guess the big question, and our audience is wondering, as we show Capitol Hill, the lights are still on. Why did everyone go home? Why couldn't everyone stay there, get this bill done? I know the president has signed that executive order, but why not game plan this out and work it out until you get a bill passed? Why did everyone go home?
Well, Lawrence, the truth of the matter is that it was always a two-step process. That's why we're so thankful that President Trump signed the paychecks for the TSA workers. The only way the process works in the Senate, and this is fundamental and very simple, it's a two-step process. There's only one budget tool that allows for the Republicans to get things done without Democrat support. But that process requires weeks, not days, not hours. The House can vote overnight. The Senate, for us to go without the Democrats, there's a fundamental process that has been in place, and that is part of the challenge. That's why we had to do step one was to fund all that we could, and step two was to fund the rest of it, not just for one fiscal year, but to fund it for the rest of President Trump's term. That's called taking care of the American people, and that's what it takes for us to get that done. But we always have to remember why we find ourselves where we are. Joe Biden let him in, 100%. And the Democrats kept him in.
100%. But Senator, are you telling me, you're more of an expert in this than I am, that at some point, because when I look at the language, that scares me when I see that there's going to be zero for the border, zero for ICE. Are you telling me at some point the Senate is going to get together and give them the funding that they need for this operation to secure our border, as well as to deport the criminal illegals in this country?
The short answer is 100%. It is a two-step process, Lawrence. This is a simple way. If you look back at the Working Families Tax Cut Bill, how did we take what was going to be a failed process? We got it in the Senate. We saved the American taxpayers $5 trillion. It was through the Working Families Tax Cut bill that we were able to use the budget tool called reconciliation to get it done. It's how we were able to extend the budget, the cuts for small businesses. It's how we were able to increase the child tax credit to $2,200. It's how we were able to continue to work on behalf of the American people from a financial perspective. In the Senate, unlike the House, that budget tool is the only way to avoid the Democrats. But that takes several weeks for it to come together. And that's why step one was last night. Step two funds the rest of the things that were unable to be funded last night. Just remember that part. Unable to be funded last night. We fund the rest of them with step two, but not just for one fiscal year, but for the rest of President Trump's term and hopefully beyond.